You're listening to Simply the Best Sports Take, the best podcast breaking down the best stuff in sports with host Sean Bingham. His takes are so good, he'd drop the mic, but then you wouldn't be able to hear him, and that would suck.
Welcome into Simply the Best Sports Podcast. I am your host, Sean Bingham, and we are one day away from Game 7 of the NBA Finals. And in the words of LeBron James, there's no greater words than those two words, Game 7. So we have a fantastic treat in store for us tomorrow night, Sunday night. Game 7 of the NBA Finals, Warriors and Cavs, the two teams that everybody predicted would rematch each other in this year's NBA Finals from last year. Last year, the Warriors got the better of them, 4-2, but that was a very injured team in Cleveland, basically just LeBron James, right? Well, now we've got the whole team, and we're going 7. When this series started, I predicted Cavs in 6, and I said if it wasn't Cavs in 6, it was going to be Warriors in 7. Well, that's obviously looking like a really good pick right now, but if I'm being honest with myself and with you guys, the way the Cavs are playing right now, man, it is going to be hard to pick against them. You know, I've been pushing hard saying that you need to sell your Steph Curry stock, which I think is actually showing that it's maybe already in the works when he goes up a bigger, more athletic, more physical team with a defensive plan to stop him. He's not as good. He's still clearly a star. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on Steph. He's a star right now. I don't see it lasting. But another thing I've kind of been, another player I've been getting after a little bit is LeBron James. Now, let me explain the reasoning behind this. Nobody's questioning. I'm not questioning how good LeBron James is. I'm not questioning that he's the most talented player on the court. He is the most talented player on the court. He's been that way for a decade in the NBA. He's been the most talented guy. But when it comes down to like the clutch time, closing teams out, closing games out, hitting the big shot at the big moment, he has not historically been that guy. Game 6 was different. Game 6, he came out and he was just going balls to the wall the entire 48 minutes. And including the fourth quarter, he had a phenomenal fourth quarter. He scored 18 straight points at one point for the Cavs. I mean, he was unbelievably good in Game 6. Game 5, he was also really, really good, but he was not the closer in Game 5. Kyrie Irving was. Game 6, LeBron took over that role. Game 7, he's going to have to be in that same role. He's going to have to be dominating from start to finish if the Cavs are going to have a chance to beat the Warriors at Oracle. Having Andre Iguodala hurting, his back was clearly hurting him there in Game 6. If that injury is still lingering, the Cavs are going to win Game 7. So again, LeBron's the man. I don't want anybody, people are misinterpreting, I think. Most of you understand what I'm getting at, and you obviously agree that LeBron is the greatest player, but to be the MVP, to be on like Michael Jordan's level, that's the problem with LeBron James, right? The poor guy's at a disadvantage because he's been compared to Michael Jordan since he was a senior in high school, He was 18 years old, 17 years old on the cover of Sports Illustrated. ESPN was covering his home games as a high school student. The poor guy's been compared to the greatest of all time since he was a rookie in the league, even before that when he was a high schooler. But because we've put him on that plateau, on that pedestal, I've got to hold him to that standard, and he hasn't reached it yet. Even if he has a phenomenal Game 7 and the Cavs win, he still will not have reached Michael Jordan status. He will have done a Michael Jordan feat by doing that in Game 7, but that will not be Michael Jordan career status. Jordan did it for his entire career, essentially, winning 6 finals in 6 tries with 6 MVPs. So he will not have reached that level, regardless of the outcome of Game 7. I want to make that very, very clear. He'd have to do it 2 or 3 more times to be on Michael Jordan's level. But it is a massive step in the right direction for LeBron James to be the top 2, 3 to 5 greatest players of all time. He's right there in the top 10 for sure right now. He could retire today, and he's a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer, and he'd probably be in everybody's opinion a top 10 of all time. But if he wants to be in the top 5, the top 3, and even the top 1, he's got to win several more finals. He's got to win another MVP or 2 for regular season, and he's got to win these finals plus at least 2 more, I would think, if he wants to be considered in the top 2 or 3 greatest players of all time. Or at least to compete for that number one spot. If he wins this one, let me rephrase that actually. If he wins this one tomorrow night, that'll be his third. He'd be 3-4 in the finals. And then if he wins one more and he's the MVP again, so then he's got 4 championships. He's been to 8 finals, went 4-4, and he got 4 finals MVPs. Then all of a sudden, you got to put him up there with like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal. He'd be right there in that group, in my opinion. You maybe could put him ahead of his Shaq, but to me, Shaq was so dominant. Even though he didn't get the regular season MVPs that he deserved, he was so dominant. He was so good. And LeBron's right there, but I know that LeBron wants to be the greatest ever. Not top 5. He wants to be the greatest. And that's why I give him a hard time, because he's not there yet. He's not. He has the potential. I don't think he'll get it. I really, truly don't. I don't think LeBron is that guy. I don't think he has the same killer instinct as MJ, the same competitive fire. But he is the greatest in the NBA right now. He is. He's making the quote-unquote unanimous MVP, Steph Curry, look like he's a mere, backup on the All-Star team type of guy. And LeBron is the man. So I'm not hating on LeBron. I'm not hating on Steph. I'm just trying to help people not be prisoners of the moment and thinking that these guys are the greatest thing since sliced bread, because they're the greatest thing right now, but they don't stack up against the all-time greatness of a Michael Jordan. So one thing that's been, I've been getting hit up on Twitter a lot for is this notion that LeBron James should be the MVP of the finals regardless of the outcome of Game 7. So win or lose, he should get the MVP. And I see the argument there. I do. I see what people are talking about. He's leading in every statistical category for both teams. Points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals. Like literally every important category. I just named all 5 of them. He's leading. He is first or tied for first in every single category for total points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals. He's first by himself in all of those except rebounds. He's tied for first in rebounds. That's incredible. So is he the most talented player? Is he the MTP? Yeah, absolutely. But that's a boring thing. We already knew that. We knew that before the series even started, that he was the most talented player. Steph's the greatest shooter, but LeBron's the most talented. We already knew that. That's boring to give out the MTP. We're talking about the MVP, the most valuable player. So you have to ask yourself, what do you value? Do you value stats or do you value winning? I value winning. So the most valuable player has to be on the winning team. It's very clear-cut and dry for me. If your team is not the winning championship team, you're not getting my vote for MVP. You can get my MTP vote. You can be the most talented player. I'll give you that. But if you want to be the MVP, you have to win, because that's what's valuable, is winning. Franchises, coaches, teammates, players, fans, media, everybody values winning. So how could you have the most valuable player be on the losing team? And I know it happened. 3 people have already hit me up saying, Jerry West. Duh. As if I don't know that Jerry West won the MVP of the finals in a losing cause. It went 7 games. He had a triple-double in Game 7, had back-to-back games over 40, averaged like 38 points for the series. I know all about it. But that was the very first year the award was ever given out, and they've never given it to a member of the losing team since. Never. So the very, very first time that they ever gave the award out, they essentially gave it to the most talented player. And since then, they've decided, you know what? We need to give it to the most valuable player, and you can't be that valuable if you're not winning. You certainly can't be the most valuable if you're not winning. And LeBron James knows that. When he got his ESPY for best championship performance in last year in a losing cause against the Golden State Warriors, he took it as like a second place trophy. He didn't care, And Andre Iguodala did deserve the finals MVP. I'm glad he got it. This year, LeBron is 100% deserving if he can finish the deal. If he can just win Game 7, which I think he has I know I picked Cavs in 6 as my main pick, And I did say Warriors in 7 if it wasn't Cavs in 6. But man, right now, especially with Bogut out and Iguodala banged up, I feel like things shift and move, and I feel like the Cavs are going to win. I feel like this is LeBron's breakthrough moment. I feel like this is the time when LeBron James delivers a heroic performance in Game 7 to win a championship for the city of Cleveland. Believeland is going to get a championship. I actually believe it's going to happen. But it's going to take LeBron James having that breakout signature game. I think this could be a signature game and a signature moment in the career of a Hall of Famer. I think LeBron James' legacy rides on Game 7. He can go down as one of the greatest of all time with a win in Game 7. No team out of 32 before the Cavs has come back from down 3-1 in the finals to win the series. LeBron James and the Cavs have a chance to do that tomorrow night in Oakland. And I think they're going to do it. I think Bogut still being out proved to be a bigger deal than I give Bogut credit for. And when you saw Andre Iguodala hobbling around, holding his lower back, man, I don't know if that thing's lingering, if that back is still bad, if it acts up in Game 7, who's going to guard LeBron? Who's going to guard LeBron? And I'll tell you what, here's one thing that LeBron could do to even further his game. You know, he talks about how he's worked on his post-up game. You hear him talk about it. But have you watched him in the post? He's not good in the post. He's not good at all. And if he was, he'd be truly unstoppable. Because who can guard him on the perimeter? The average or even above average talented 4 in the NBA cannot guard LeBron James on the perimeter. And the average or even above average talented 3 cannot guard LeBron James in the post if he had a post game. He's too big and strong. And he's too quick. He's too quick for the 4s. He's too big and strong for the 3s. But his post game lacks majorly. The only time you see him really post up and do anything is if he happens to get switched on and he gets a guy like Steph Curry guarding him. Then, of course, he eats Steph up in the post. But if he really honed in on that post game, I think that could really lengthen his career by 2 or 3 years of, prime domination type performances. So LeBron's the most talented player in the finals. Nobody's debating that. It just depends on what you want to define as valuable. Do you value the stat monster? Do you value the triple doubles and the being able to say he led every player in every category? Does that mean he's the most talented? Yeah, it does. It means he's the most talented. But that's a really boring award. Nobody's going to debate that. Nobody's going to sit here and debate that LeBron James is the most talented. But is he the most valuable? Can you be the most valuable when the thing that is valued most is winning if you don't win? I mean, in my opinion, no, you can't. Plain and simple, there's just no way. So if they want to rename the award to be the MTP, the most talented player, then yeah, LeBron James would get my vote every year. But if they want to have it be the most valuable player, then, that guy's got to be on the winning team because what's valued most is the rings. So I think LeBron James' legacy rides on Game 7. I want to hear your thoughts. Tweet me at Sean Bingham, SeanBingham, at Sean Bingham on Twitter. And then hit us up also on Instagram, STB Sports Take on Instagram. We got a fun Instagram there. Do some cool stuff. And of course, you can always check us out online, stbsportstake.com. But I do love hearing your thoughts. I want to know, what do you value most? What does MVP mean to you? Because LeBron even mentioned this himself when he talked to the media about Steph Curry getting the unanimous MVP decision. He said, yeah, he is the most valuable. He deserves that award. But if we're talking about who the best is, then I don't think it necessarily means that he's the best. So LeBron already knows it. If somebody on if say the Warriors win, okay, say the Warriors win Game 7, and maybe Draymond Green has a heck of a game, so they give it to Draymond Green. Does that mean Draymond Green's better than LeBron James? Does that mean he had a better personal performance than LeBron James in the finals? No, it doesn't mean that at all. It means that winning is what's valued, and so for that winning team, the most valuable player was this guy, Draymond Green. But if LeBron wins, of course, if the Cavs win, of course it's LeBron. LeBron could lay an egg in Game 7, and he'd probably still get the MVP if the Cavs win. Kyrie's had a good series too, though. Kyrie's played really, really well. I'll tell you who hasn't is Kevin Love. Nobody knows what's going on with him. And I don't put all of that on Kevin Love. I truly don't, because the Cavs do not use him the way that he's meant to be used. They don't play to his strengths at all, and that's another beef I've had with LeBron that I've mentioned. If he's so great, he's got to make guys around him better, like help them play to their strength. Kevin Love is a guy that belongs in the post. He's a 25 rebound, 25 point, 15 rebound a game guy in Minnesota. He comes to Cleveland and he's a nobody. I mean, the guy's scoring like single digits in the finals, getting like a handful of rebounds, sitting on the bench most of the time now. They're not using him the way he should be used. Tristan Thompson had a breakout game 6. Tristan Thompson played out of his mind. If they can get performances like that on the road out of guys like Tristan Thompson or a J.R. Smith, or maybe Kevin Love decides to show up and play, then I think they can really, really get it going. But I'm going to tell you what, LeBron James did for Tristan Thompson in Game 6 what I feel he needs to do for Kevin Love every night. Get him involved the way that he likes to be involved, the way that he is born to be involved. You know, Kevin Love's talent level is nowhere near LeBron James' talent level. So when they just shove him out to the three-point line and say, be our stretch forward, just get out of my way, stand over there in the corner, and be a big guy that can take big guys away from the hoop, and so there's no big defenders there underneath the basket. And if I drive in and somehow get doubled, I'll dish it out to you and you can hit the corner three. That's not Kevin Love's game. That's not his game. I mean, that's part of what he can do, but that's not his game. He belongs in the post. He belongs, down there with the big, getting touches in the post, banging around, and getting boards. I mean, give the guy, 8 to 10 touches in the post a game. See what happens. I'll bet you'll end up getting an extra, 8 to 10 points out of him. So let Kevin Love play his game, and LeBron did that with Tristan Thompson, setting him up on alley-oops, and they were in sync, and it was a thing of beauty in Game 6. It was an absolute thing of beauty. So I think that the Cavs need to do that same thing in Game 7 if they're going to win. And it's going to be tough. There's a saying around the NBA that role players only play well at home. And if that's true, Kevin Love needs to be the superstar that he once was, the stud that Cleveland went after to steal him from Minnesota and gave up Andrew Wiggins to get him. They're going to need Kyrie. They're going to need their big three, Kyrie, LeBron, and Love, to play really, really well, because I don't see Tristan Thompson having the same type of game. J.R. Smith, he's hit or miss, but it's going to come down to the big three. And it's going to be the same thing for the Warriors. Without Bogut and with Iguodala hurting, Draymond Green, I'm guessing Draymond Green's going to draw a lot more LeBron defensive assignments, maybe Klay Thompson as well. Klay's a great defender, but again, he's a guy that if LeBron had a post game, he's got the size on Klay Thompson, only an inch or two in height, but strength, he could overpower him no problem. So I think you'll see Draymond Green, one of the best defenders in the NBA. I think you'll see him D'ing up LeBron quite a bit. But what's interesting is, are the Warriors going to play Anderson Varejao more to try and negate the Tristan Thompson or the Kevin Love? Are they going to play, Mo Spates, Festus Ezeli? Who's going to get the minutes and be big for the Warriors? Because we know that Klay and Steph are going to show up. I would imagine Draymond will show up as well. So could it come down to the role players? Could it come down to the big threes on both squads kind of neutralize each other? And then it comes down to who's better, Tristan Thompson and J.R. Smith, or, Festus Ezeli and, Harrison Barnes. I don't know. Harrison Barnes has been playing horrible too. So such a fun finals. It's been really weird though. Have you guys noticed how weird these finals are? Every game is pretty much a blowout. But what's funny is that especially when the Warriors are down, the Warriors can be down 15 points, and you're just like, no, it's not over. Klay Thompson alone could go and hit 5 threes in 6 possessions, and all of a sudden, boom, they're right back in it. And he's done it before. I mean, they were down 22 points in the first quarter. The Warriors were in Game 6, and they pulled to within 6 with 3 minutes to go or 4 minutes to go in the second quarter. And so I remember I just tweeted out, actually, the Cavs are going to somehow be behind at halftime after being up 22 just a few minutes ago. The Warriors can come back on you so fast. But Game 7, this is going to be a short podcast. I'm going to start to wrap it up now, actually. Been going for 20 minutes, but this is LeBron James's legacy. This is it. He's not old, but he's not young. What is he, 30, 31? He's not old, but he's not young. And to me, his legacy really, really rides on this. I mean, he'll be back in the finals again, I'm sure, probably 2 or 3 more times. But this is a chance for him to just really put his imprint on the game, to do something that's never been done before. Never. No one has been down 3-1 in the NBA Finals and come back to win, especially against the 73-9 Warriors with the 2-time reigning MVP on their squad in full health. Yeah, Bogut's out, but that's just part of the game. He's maybe their 5th most important player, 6th most important player. He's not someone they should be complaining about. LeBron didn't have Love or Kyrie in last year's finals, and he went 6 with J.R. Smith and Matthew Dellavedova as his main sidekicks. So this is a chance for LeBron to really put an imprint on the game, to do something that's never been done before. And I've been calling him out, asking him, begging him to do this type of thing, begging him to have those moments, those Michael Jordan moments, those Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, those championship moments. And he had that in Game 6, and it was special. And I think he's going to do it again in Game 7. I'm not going to bet against King James in a Game 7. The way this whole series has gone, I'm taking King James over Steph Curry. But we'll see. It's going to be close. It's the hardest game to predict of the entire year for me. Especially since I said Cavs in 6, and if it wasn't Cavs in 6, I admittedly did say Warriors in 7, and now I'm kind of going back on that. And the reason being that no Bogut and a banged up Andre Iguodala, and all the momentum's with the Cavs. I just don't see much of a reason to go with the Warriors. I just don't. But I could be wrong. One thing I do know is that LeBron James's legacy is on the line in Game 7. Sure, he's a Hall of Famer no matter what. I get that. Sure, he's top 10 all time no matter what. I get that. But this type of signature win, Game 7 of the finals after being down 3-1, if he goes and drops another 40, and he's the first guy ever to score 40 points in 3 games in a row in the finals, and be the first guy to come back from down 3-1, and win the MVP for the 3rd time in the NBA Finals in his 3rd ring, first one in Cleveland, without the help of a Dwayne Wade and a Chris Bosh, If he accomplishes that, to me, that puts him in the top 5 of all time, without question. He's already there in many people's minds, I get that. But to me, without question, he would then enter that top 5 of all time. That would put him ahead of a Tim Duncan for me. That would put him ahead of, honestly, it would probably put him ahead of a Shaquille O'Neal even for me. It would, even though Shaq got more rings and probably had a more dominant stretch of being completely unstoppable for several years there with the Lakers. The overall career, if LeBron does this, that would put him ahead of Shaq. Because what was Shaq's biggest flaw? He couldn't shoot free throws. So when you can't shoot free throws, you can't even be in the game sometimes in crunch situations. So LeBron James's career legacy has a chance to be majorly bolstered with this win, and he will be the MVP of the finals if he wins. He's already the most talented. He's already the MTP, but to be the MVP, he's got to win. Hit me up on Twitter. Let me know your thoughts, but those are my thoughts on Game 7. I'm going to say the Cavs win a close one. And I said they'd win in 6. Look, maybe to go 7. Ugh, listen to me. I can't even make up my mind. I got to do it. I got to say Cavs in 7. I got to do it. I know I said Cavs in 6. I was wrong. Didn't happen. Then I said if that didn't happen, it would be Warriors in 7, which is tempting to just stick with that pick because they're playing at home. But the way things are going, I feel like, I'm just going to switch my pick. I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to say King James wins it in 7. So hopefully we get a close game. I want nothing more than a close game. I want it coming down to that last 2-3 minutes and just watching Curry and Irving and Klay Thompson and LeBron just do their thing, battling back and forth, back and forth. I want an amazing Game 7. I'm going to be in Panama for the game, by the way. I'm going to Panama for a week. It's going to be a lot of fun. But that's it for today's podcast. Game 7, LeBron's legacy. Peace.
Thanks for hanging with Simply the Best Sports Take. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and check out stbsportstake.com. Simply the best in sports. 'Cause we are